Hey folks, my name is Pravus. Welcome to more Whiskerwood in Hickory Dickory Dock. In the last video, we managed to expand all the way over to this other island and start a massive farming operation, which has already brought a huge amount of wealth into our colony. Plus, we were able to progress further down the technological tree. We are now in Research Tier 2. Just getting started with this. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a couple of social services kind of early on, really secure that approval, guarantee it stays nice and high with things like dining hall. We can do some tea cultivation. I mean, that's possible now since we have all this extra land to work with. But really the challenge is going to be making sure we have enough food to sustain a larger population and then industrializing further, with things like blast furnaces leading to steam power, gold smelting, and so on. And I do have to question how useful steam is going to end up being for us. I mean, yeah, you need it for certain types of buildings. But the other thing I look at is stuff like the steam radiator, which I just see here is a heat source. I assume a much better heat source than what we're currently using, which is attractive. But if it requires piping, like, I don't know about that. I mean, think about it. We've got ourselves some heaters down over here. I'd have to do something sneaky like dig tunnels underneath all of the town in order to lay the infrastructure, which isn't too far off the sort of stuff that people actually do in real life, but it would have been helpful to have done all of that ahead of time, you know what I mean? That's gonna be quite the chore. Still, the number one killer of my approval during the winter is the pollution from the heating sources, so getting the steam up and running, I don't know. Maybe it's something we do. We'll find out how difficult it is soon. At least we're still really good at producing some gold with the smugglers. This has been absolutely no problem for a while. It's gonna get even better though once I can start smelting my own, which we are not that far from being able to do. Oh right, we wanted to get ourselves some jam pastries. That's another thing we need to do. I could set up another baking operation over here. You know, we've already got everything we need for it. Sure, why not? Just change up that recipe so 3 flour and 1 berry becomes 5 pastries. Now this is strictly worse from just taking flour and turning it into lots of usable food. The only reason I really have to do this is just to go for the raw approval and happiness. That's it, right? There is no other good reason to do that. Well, I'm okay with it for now anyway. It's not like I don't have plenty of flour and berries and stuff to work with. If it looks like I'm ever getting kind of stretched thin on my food, though, that's a good time to just ditch that and just swap over to regular bread. We don't need sweets, okay? If we are interested in growing more food, another thing we could probably mess with is actually getting myself some mushrooms. So, since we already have a pretty good set of tunnels through this town, maybe we should open up like a giant cavern and just turn that into one giant mushroom farm. Depends on what I would do with it, to be honest. Probably take it to the soup kitchen, but that also takes flour. I don't know, like that doesn't feel great. What if instead I did open up something like canning? Now canning, yeah, it takes bronze bars, but it only takes mushrooms and no other food. I said bronze bars are valuable. That just seems like a really, really dumb use. I don't know, man. What about, oh, here we go. Yeah, okay, this works a lot better. Okay, if we go for fish skewers at the smokery, instead of fish, we would use some mushrooms, basically making a fish kebab. Fish kebab instead of shish kebab? I love it, that's great. So yeah, that's actually a practical use for some mushrooms. Okay, I can get behind that. So I'll just go ahead and open up like this entire cavern down here. That's probably fine. As far as I know, the only prerequisite to place down mushrooms is that they have to be like underground, which is why all of this has terrible fertility. But I think if we go down deep, yeah, we can start seeing that turn nice and green. Very dark places. That's what mushrooms apparently like, which is not exactly my experience of mushrooms. That is true to an extent. I think they mostly just care about having good rotten food they can grow in, though. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It'll work. Oh, Mr. Tax Ship. It's so good to see you again. How's the wife and family? You know, we could also just offload a load of logs. It's taking up tons of inventory space. Not worth a lot, though, mind you. Not worth a lot. The cotton is generally where we want things to be, and I don't have as much cotton as I used to. That's okay. We're growing plenty more out here. We'll get there eventually. Oh, look, there's the fish skewers tech for free. Yay! That saves me a lot of time. Seriously, I think the number one bottleneck I've got right now is just going to be research. We could place down another research lab. We could do it. I feel a modicum of resentment that I might feel like it's necessary, but it would definitely solve some issues. And we will, because if I'm saying it out loud and that's our main bottleneck, then that's one area where I should try to solve the problem. Instead of just saying, research takes too long. Well, maybe put some more mice on it, you dingus. But I don't know if I have any more educated pups. Oh, figure it out. Actually, how many educated pups do we have? We got a few. One of them's working on a farm with maximum expectations. What a waste. There's my dining hall, finally. Okay, so how big is this sucker? It's pretty big. Darn, I was hoping it'd be about the same size as a cafe, so I could just do a simple replacement, but no. That was not to be. Is it just longer? No, it's wider as well. I was hoping I'd be able to just, like, maybe have part of it hanging out over the ocean, or anything along those lines. I might still be able to do that, like, over here. But I don't think I can do that over here. My cafe is kind of a little bit too heavily integrated into all the buildings around it. But I can do this at least. I wouldn't say it looks amazing, but we can do it. Anyway, we should start up our next round of research. I think I'll go ahead and start up with the blast furnace next, so we can start figuring out what we want to do with iron. And in that case, we do need to get ourselves a source of iron ore. The nearest one I know of is over on this island. So maybe my next big infrastructure project is kind of scoot around the outer edge of this little island, get a little bridge, and say, hey, we got ourselves a new little outpost community. The most immediate problem that I see with that is at some point the logistics become really prohibitive. Like, already some of my logistics workers are giving me little pop-ups saying, this is too long of a job, as I simply transport goods from over here all the way over here, like some fuel. So transporting this far might be a problem. This is undoubtedly why things like passenger rails exist, but is it only good for transporting the whiskers, or can it also transport goods? Or is there no difference? We already know that whiskers can slide down a slide while carrying a cart full of goods. Why not ride a train? Anyway, let's go ahead and start planting down some of these little mushroom fields, which for some reason are getting... Wait, what? How does this work? Hold on. So this all was looking like it was pretty fertile, but once I opened it up, it got worse? That's interesting. Do the mushrooms prefer tight, enclosed spaces? That's not what I expected, but let's just go ahead and dig down a couple more layers. Let's say over here we have a landing on the elevator, since that's convenient. And yeah, these dark corridors seem to be the popular spot. Interesting. Huh. Okay. All right, well, if that's the case, then let's try this again, but we're just going to dig out a few nice little tunnels, and those will become our little harvest tubes for all of the mushrooms. I'm just going to keep re-rolling, by the way, whenever I get these rewards until I can get some technology. Assuming they actually give me anything, I'm using up kind of a lot of seals here. Holy crud. Really? Okay, that's like 8 re-rolls in a row. Are they just not going to give me any more text now? Is that a thing? Yeah, sure seems that way. Boo. There might be a rule in here somewhere I don't know about. Like, the cats can only give you decorations recipes, because I got both of these from them. And then food recipes, because I think I got things like mushroom stew, jam pastries, and fish skewers. But I don't know that I actually got anything industrial from them. Did I? Maybe not. So yeah, there might actually be like a hidden rule for the cats that like changes their behavior as far as what they give you. Maybe. I don't know. Research is definitely going by a lot faster, by the way, though there is apparently some sort of a negative malice dragging it down. Coordination overhead I don't think was a thing earlier. I'm guessing the more research labs you have, the less efficient all of them become, so you get diminishing returns. And that's to encourage you probably not to build like 6 research labs and just blast through absolutely everything in an hour. That'd be my best guess, and if that's the case, gosh dang it, why don't you want us to have fun? Okay, I've got some infrastructure heading over to this island just as the iron blast furnace becomes available, so that's great. So steam power, do you want to jump straight to that, or would I rather do other things? Let's find out about, you want to find out about passenger rail to try and make this a faster process? Kinda yeah, actually. Because depending on how I can get my whiskers back and forth, that will probably determine like how much infrastructure I need to have over here in the first place. Like maybe none. If I can get away with building no neighborhoods over here and just transport people back and forth, that'd be great. But worse come to worse, if it's very easy to transport goods back and forth, that makes me feel a lot better about my situation. We do know we need to start getting some iron ore smelted up, though. So we can go ahead and place down blast furnaces. Well, do I actually want to do that? Let me think about that. Because if I place that down over here, like, yeah, I could do that. Or we could refine iron ore on the spot and then send it all back. Kind of depends. I mean, I'd have to do that regardless of just fuel, right? So maybe it still makes sense to keep all the infrastructure over here? I don't know. But until we actually mine up some iron ore, I suppose none of it actually matters. So we can wait for a little bit longer. How are the mushrooms coming along? Oh, wow, they actually grew pretty darn fast. Huh. All right, we're going to have some harvests of these pretty soon, which means at one of these smokeries, we could try swapping this recipe over. And I think that's still fine because it's still going to cook at the exact same speed as everything else. As long as we have some mushrooms stored, we can keep up, and it's not going to change my food production pretty much at all. It just means my fish goes a lot further. Raking in loads of cotton still, by the way, and I'm also sitting on quite a lot of gold bullion as well. You know what? Maybe now's not a bad time to try and just see what happens if you get the maximum delivery. I don't think we're going to get a much lower tax bill than this from here on out. Good chance of a schematic, good chance of an effect, whatever that means. Plus ration meals, fuel, iron bars, medicine, and so on. Let's just see. Let's see what happens when we can give away a lot of money to the cats. And by a lot of money, it's still not much compared to what I probably owe them, but I mean, like, that's beside the point. Shut up. So choose two. I mean, these aren't bad. I'm gonna re-roll and see if anything better comes up. Hold on. World bonus. Machinery lubricant. Industry machinery wears down 50% slower. Oh, okay. I wonder how many different bonuses there are. These might be pretty good. I'll take it out of interest, and then we'll also grab the old medical chest. So for once, I've actually got some soap that I'm sitting on now. That's kind of cool. I want to point out, by the way, how good our approval is looking at this point. So we're only getting 208 right now because I'm capping out very quickly. But in theory, we're making like 700 extra approval than we strictly would need. So if I want to use some really expensive policies, we probably could do that. Is it worth going back to things with the stone eyes? Maybe. I don't care about sellable trinkets. That's kind of if you're desperate. Fuel? No. Salvaging tree stumps, blah, blah, blah. None of this is useful. I think it's only the stone eyes. That's the only thing I could benefit from is just making my whiskers run even faster. Because I think the cats are out to get them. Because they probably are, let's be honest. Oh, and our research has stopped. Why? I think for some reason we've stopped producing bronze. Yep, this stupid warehouse is full again. Oh my gosh. We are legitimately overproducing so much, it's actually starting to get crazy. Like, half of me wants to tear the entire city down just so I can rearrange all of my logistics in my storage systems. This is the kind of thing you only learn if you play through a game once, though, right? You can't possibly know all this your first time playing it. You got to figure out, like, where your mistakes are, and then it's like, okay, now I would tear this down and do this a little bit differently, and you can plan better for the future. There's my passenger rail. Okay. The next thing I'll research after that is going to be probably the gold smelting or the steam power. Let's start working down steam power. I'd like to know what's going to happen there. And then for transportation, what do we want to do here? We have track pieces, station platforms, a rail booster, which will happen later, and then of course there's going to be carts. So if I want to place down some platforms, how do we want to do this? Well, I probably want to have fast transportation options that don't require this bridge, so I can transport my guys faster between islands, probably following along this arc. So that's exactly what I already built like for my normal walking path, but we'll just make it even more efficient. My biggest problem is that it's going to be kind of like created over the water, which means it's going to be, shall we say, very expensive. Unfortunately, it looks like I start running out of iron bars before I can hit the target I was going for. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. We need to get some iron mining done before I can continue with anything else. So let's plan out some very small amounts of storage, and we'll just logistic our way to victory here. We'll then a couple of storage modules, get ourselves a blast furnace. It's gonna look really painful for a bit, but this will get more efficient once I have a bit more iron to work with. And in the meantime, what would it take for me to get a cart? Place on track like this. Okay. Whee! So it just shoots off over here. Oh, now it's stuck. This doesn't need to be a loop, does it? Because that would suck. Wait, no, like, what do I do with this, though, for real? How does cart work? If I place on track, like so, what would happen? The answer is it launches, and does it stop? Yes. And then what? Does it just launch again on it does. I'm gonna get rid of one piece of track here, and we're gonna test another thing. If I place down same car, and it runs into another station, will it go back in reverse? Yes, it does. Okay, so it just has to be a closed end. Oh, if it's open, it says, oh, we can go somewhere. Screed! Terrible idea. All right, now the question is how to get the mice to actually use the dang thing, because this is definitely a faster route than using the bridge, but they seem to prefer the bridge. Oh, no, it's something that's recalculated. It is actually doing it now. And sure enough, whatever loads the mice are carrying, it can bring with them. Okay. Passenger rail is going to be my long-term solution here then. Fortunately, it doesn't look like passenger rail requires any sort of a fuel. I was expecting to need something here, but no, it's a freebie. Well, that's great. That actually kind of makes me want to do a lot of things with rail. Like maybe get some rail set up like directly between the tops of these islands and stuff, get the farmers all hooked up this way. Doesn't take long to travel that way. It just becomes like an interstate directly between different industries. Huh. There's actually something to be said about probably setting up, like, you know, if we have iron mines and stuff over here, instead of dropping off in this direction, what if we just had, like, the rail go around and drop off directly over here by all my other blast furnaces? Not that that's strictly necessary. If we refine the materials over here, which is what I currently have planned, that's fine as is. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. Hopefully my thought process is working here. See, it's a little bit late at night here. I'm kind of trying to record all this stuff right before Thanksgiving in my case, which means this is a fair bit ahead of what you guys are actually watching, but I pull out the stops, you know, come around holiday season. It's a tough time to be a content creator. It's around those times that you end up starting work until 2 a.m. every day, and that's usually on top of whatever job I've also got and everything else. It's just, yeah, it's an effort. It's an effort. But you know what? As long as the game is fun, and this one is, it's something I'm happy to do. Okay, train is officially set up over here, so that's going to make things a lot better. Though I kind of wish that I could have two tracks operating side by side so that one would be going this way and the other would be going the other way, etc., etc. Two tracks in parallel would be a lot better. Maybe we could actually consider doing that at some point. Literally stack up multiple tracks on top of it and control exactly which outlet they have. It'd be a little complicated, like a giant metro station, but hey, if it works, it works. Oh, by the way, we've been producing a lot of fabric, and I've never actually started turning this into anything. Do we want to start making our own tailored cloaks? I don't see why not. We just need to get ourselves a tailor, which isn't even that big of a building. So we get this built up real quick. Bada boom. All right, just need to get ourselves some apprentices and other folks. Why do explorers do best here? I don't think I really understand, like, some of the professions and what exactly the Explorers Guild is for. Like, to me, this is a manufacturing job, but I guess that really belongs just to... No, even the charcoal furnace belongs to these guys. And this belongs, like, the Resource Miners Guild and stuff. What? The guilds? Yeah. It's not a big deal. The guilds just confuse me a little bit. Anyway, we're making tailored cloaks. Is it as efficient as making the low-quality cloaks? No. Is it a vanity thing? Absolutely. We're producing a decent amount of iron over here, which is amazing considering I've got no housing over here at all. Yet my whiskers seem to be doing just fine. Ooh, what did I find this deep down over here, by the way? Ooh, we found some potash. Okay. Potash, pretty sure, is how we're going to be able to make fertilizer at some point. Dang, that stuff was deep, too. I had to go all the way down to this point down here to find potash? Okay. Steam power is now unlocked. Can't do much with it, but we have it. So I feel like we need to have fluid controls and then the steam raider, but what does this actually do? Valves enable more advanced control of fluid routing, can be manually controlled or configured with an activation threshold. Good lord, this is starting to feel a little bit like oxygen not included. Well, I'm going to end up doing both, so I guess it doesn't matter too much which I do first. I kind of think we need to experiment with using steam for heat, and the most obvious choice is to try and get rid of this one and replace it and see what the comparison is. Because we're already pumping up some water over here, it wouldn't be that much of a stretch for me to get myself a boiler, store up all that extra steam power at high pressure, and then just dig underneath the housing over here, get ourselves a little steam radiator, and then boom, problem solved, and see how it does. That'll determine if it's worth the effort for everything else. By the way, the trains are still not enough of a solution. There are too many mice that are currently working over in this direction, so they all get kind of stuck. I think I need to use all my iron to create a double-layered track. Or at the very least, more dedicated, like, train lines. I think that's true. Yeah, I think I'm going to commit to that idea. Let's go ahead and delete all of this. So this becomes a dedicated path that's very, very fast, much faster than the bridge. And then at a higher elevation, we'll just go ahead and set up some other track. That's going to skip this entirely and head straight to our final destination. There we go. I think that's going to be the solution for us. Okay, a direct route. And I don't think that rails can go up, right? So if I did this and then said up like this, no, they cannot. Okay. So I think that's probably where the track launcher is going to come into play. At some point, maybe we can start playing around with our rails and have them go uphill, but we need something that actually propels them. But now that I have passenger rails, I feel like this opens up the world in a lot of ways. Like if I wanted to start working my way all the way over here, grab all this rock salt and copper and stuff, I feel like we could actually do that now. Is it actually worth it? Well, okay, that's harder to say. Let's go ahead and start experimenting with steam now. So I think we need to get ourselves a steam boiler, which I would assume has a water and a heat pipe. Looks like that is the case. Maybe we can do something kind of like this. All right, so it kind of hooks around like that. It needs some fuel. Doesn't say it requires a person to operate, though. A fire tender has to deliver the fuel. Ah, darn. Usually I turn these jobs off once the temperature goes up, but I guess now that's not going to be the case. Okay, so can I just place a steam tank somewhere over here and it creates effectively a network? And anytime I use it, it just comes through the same piping. Do I have to split it up? I don't know. We're going to find out. So now we've got some fuel. It is slowly filling up some steam. It's burning through the fuel very quickly, by the way. Very, very quickly. We are getting that piped steam, so presumably it'll stop soon. I don't know how much we drain once we start setting up some heating. But yeah, that's an alarming amount of fuel consumption. Starting to see why the fuel was increased to 21 for every one coal. Anyway, we'll let this just sort of stack up, and then once we finish this next technology, we can test it out. Anyway, let's go for another maximum effect here with the cat, since we have a very low tax bill this time around, which gets me, ooh, the bathhouse for free. Yes! 36 machinery here, by the way. Do you know how much the pirates will pay for that? A ton! Anyway, so to get myself a bathhouse, I need access to both water and steam. Oh, that makes perfect sense. But you couldn't just conveniently make these buildings the same size so I could easily replace things, could you? No, that would be too easy. Well, there's my steam radiator if nothing else. Okay, so taking a look at this, I mean, that's a pretty big radius, actually. Let's do a quick comparison here. Oh, it's definitely bigger. It's a lot bigger, actually. Huh. But it all really depends on how fast it runs through steam, because we already saw how much fuel we use up to create this much steam. So if the rate of release is too high, I don't know if it's more fuel efficient or not. Also, did you really have to place this pipe like this? It couldn't like have a pipe underneath it or anything like that? No. I can't place this in its other spot because there's nowhere for me to run the piping. Oh, good lord, that's annoying. The moral of the story here is that nothing is easy or free. Oh, there's my approval now, by the way. Okay, yeah. Yeah. We were struggling just by the fact that so many of my whiskers are carrying so much, they're burning through all my approval faster than I can generate. Okay, it's unfortunate, but it's all right. We can make that work. Well, I did get myself a bathhouse set up after all, so we can come over here and see exactly how people feel about it. Kind of reminds me of a Japanese style of bathhouse. Ryokan? I think that's what they call them. Maybe that's a different maybe that's more like an inn. Either way, point is, this kind of steamed bath idea seems kind of nice, actually, like a little hot spring. But how quickly does it burn through its fuel? Reasonably quickly, actually. Yeah. I'm not sure how effective this is really from a fuel perspective. But since approval has been an issue for me, I'll take it anyway. I'm going to start working on gold smelting next, I think, since we do seem to have approval somewhat under control, at least for the moment. I think tea was going to be my solution to get out of it, but at least during the summer and such, we're in a better spot. Can generate at least a good couple hundred or so per day, or several hundred per day. Okay. I'm not sure why we were having so much trouble for so long, to be honest. But, oh well, problem solved. So, yeah, forget the tea. That's always a backup option. For now, let's start making some serious money. I've been re-rolling rewards here for a while now with the cats, praying we're going to get something useful, but it looks like, once again, they don't want to offer me any tech. I really don't feel like I'm asking for too much. I really, really don't. I just want something that saves me time, because this just takes so stinking long. Small graphical bug somewhere, by the way. Anyone want to explain where this minecart came from? Why it's hovering above the waters? I have no idea how that happened. By the way, I can't help but feel like maybe we ought to be storing up a lot more cotton than we are. I'm just constantly full. My storages are always, always, always full. Like, what can I do to make this better? Answer, more storage. But what I'll do to make it more interesting is I will actually make use of some conveyor belts. This may be completely unnecessary, and I've got a feeling it's going to be very expensive in logs. Maybe if I drop things down a little bit so it doesn't cost me as many logs on the journey. And then with some ladders to kind of bring it back up like this. I don't know, I guess. Do I have to do a separate line for every warehouse? I don't think I can have this thing split. Sure doesn't look like it. Oh, no. Well, we'll see if that ends up making much of a difference for us. I suppose this is somewhat convenient. I mean, not having to have any logistics folks taking all of this cotton and stuff, just dropping it off over here. Yeah, sure. But is this practical for every warehouse? Remember, you kind of almost have to have a warehouse for every individual resource in the game. We've learned that simply because you can produce that much. So if I were to have conveyor belts for everything, that would be highly, highly inefficient. Maybe marginally more efficient than what we are doing now, just, you know, not good. Well, I definitely want to get gold smelting done before we end this video, though. Not giving up until we've gotten to that point, and we should be almost there. Just a little more patience. Lord knows I've been nothing if not patient. But we're not making any meaningful progress. Why? Let me guess. Storage is full for things like... No? No, we should be able to get bronze. Well, then wait, hang on. What actually is the holdup? Hold on. Am I out of tin? I think I might be out of tin. Ah. Well, that would be a problem. There we go. Just enough bronze to finish up the recipe. Okay, already got myself an ore furnace. We'll assign a couple more folks. Change the recipe gold ore into gold bullion. Now, gold by itself is already worth like 89. So upping that up to 233, that's pretty good. Like, that's literally just increasing the value of the gold ore by 144 at the cost of 1 fuel. And some pollution. Lots of pollution. But this means that I've just opened up another 13,000 wealth just from this one production chain alone. Now, of course, at some point the cats might be wondering why we're minting our own currency and getting mildly concerned. Not that bullion is currency exactly, it's funnier to think of it that way. But overall, this puts me in a pretty commanding position. We've got 60,000 wealth that we're sitting on right now. I'm practically my own Federal Reserve. Whoa, hold on. Hey, something new. A Whisker is dealing with severe injury or illness. Something I haven't had to deal with. I was about to end this video, but hang on. Medical triage. Go, go, go. Quickly get a couple of people assigned over here. Somebody should start getting treated. We don't have any saline or medicine right now, but I mean, like, okay. Take it back. We actually do have some medicine. My question is, how dangerous is this really, though? Also, can I just, like, pick you up and move you here faster? No, they're disoriented. We're not allowed to do that. Do you only seek treatment at night during your off hours? I mean, I admire your work ethic. I really do. But since you're the first sick person I've had in hundreds of days of this colony, I kind of feel like you need to take a few different priorities here. I don't know, let's follow him and see what he does. So he's coming up over here. He's going into the triage. Okay, he made it just before the end of the day. And he's going to remain here until he's cured, which is not even going to take that long because medicine is awesome. All right, first time we've had to deal with that. Hopefully the last. But considering how long it is still taking for my Whiskers to travel from place to place, dropping off all of their goods, finding what they need because the logistics are a mess, I don't know, I kind of expect that to continue being a problem. And speaking of problems, it's going to be very difficult for me to continue progressing in this game if I can't find a more consistent source of tin. I'd really, really like to be able to make more progress on this stuff. It would be awesome. But if I don't have tin, I don't have bronze. If I don't have bronze, we are dead in the water, boys. This is where I think it would be kind of cool if once you get to become a very established colony, you have access to, let's say, a trading company chartered by the crown, and you can order different materials. That would be very nice. But no, the claws have the right idea. You'd be focused on taxes and nothing else. Oi, oi, oi. It's fine. We'll figure out a solution. I just might have to go strip mining a little bit more. Thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video of Whiskerwood and Hickory Dickory Dock. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.